Hello, everybody. So today I'm going to talk to you about alternative fuel vehicles. And if you saw the title of this video, then you're probably thinking it's going to be a typo, right? Well, I'm sad to say that it's not. Alternative fuel vehicles are worthless. And today I'm going to tell you exactly why. But before I go any further, I'd like to say, first of all, nobody's paying me to say this, and nobody has a gun to my head forcing me to say this. I am saying all these things from my own personal experience and my own personal research. That being said, alternative fuel vehicles, what are they? Well, they are vehicles that run on non traditional fuels such as gasoline and diesel fuel. Now, the most popular type of alternative fuel vehicles are compressed natural gas, CNG, electric, and propane. Now, I know what you're asking yourself. I've heard these vehicles are good for the environment. I've heard they're better for your wallet. How can they possibly be worthless? Well, get ready to have your minds open because I'm going to tell you. Now, let's start with compressed natural gas or CNG. Now, I personally have never driven a vehicle like this, and I personally have never owned one. But that being said, I have heard things about them. Now, first of all, I probably should mention that in the city and state I live in, there are several, well, let's not say several, let's say a couple that I've seen, a couple of locations where you can actually fuel a natural gas vehicle. Now, like I said, I've never driven one or owned one, but I would assume that the fueling process is the same for a gas vehicle. You stick the nozzle in, turn the pump on, and it fuels in about 5 minutes or less, you're done. So that's a good thing. Here's the problem. There are way more gas stations in the world than there are compressed natural gas refueling depots. So if you own a compressed natural gas car, never mind the cat who jumped in front of the screen. If you own a compressed natural gas car, you are limited to places where you can refuel it, which means if you live in a city that has those, it's maybe a good around town vehicle, but it's not very good for daily driving or out of town driving. And excuse me, I have to get the cat out of the way. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about the next one, electric. Now, electric vehicles like Teslas and others, they run on electricity. But instead of being attached to a cord wherever they go, like a normal electrical item, computer, television, and such, they run on a battery. Now, you might be asking, what's the problem with these? Well, number one problem, and I'm sure you've probably seen this in a lot of news reports, is that a lot of electric vehicles have problems with fires. Electric vehicles are catching fires a lot of places. And I don't know about you, but personally, I don't want my car to be on fire. The second problem with these electric vehicles is that they run on a battery. Now, again, I've never owned an electric vehicle, so I can't say with 100% certainty, but I have owned other battery operated devices. And in my experience, a battery has to be charged when it goes dead. That means that if you own an electric car, again, you're limited to in the city driving. Now, in the city I live in, I have only seen one, count them, one public available electric charging station. And that's not very good. I mean, if you live in this city and you own an electric car, there's only one place you can go. The second problem is that charging a battery is not an instantaneous thing, it takes a while. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is just what I've heard. I've heard that with Teslas, if you charge them for 15 minutes, you can get about 1/4 of the total capacity. But guess what? Do you want to sit there for 15 minutes or longer waiting for your car to recharge? I don't. So, if you own an electric vehicle, that's something you're going to deal with. You may have to sit for hours just waiting for your vehicle to be able to go again. Now, aside from publicly available charging stations, I have seen some electric vehicles actually do have a charger that you can plug into a regular wall outlet at your house and charge it that way. But it doesn't matter what you're charging them at or with, you still have that whole waiting thing. And take it from me, waiting sucks. Now let's talk about the third type. And in my opinion, this is the most useless type of alternative fuel vehicle, propane. Now, on this one, I happen to own a propane powered vehicle. And in the city that I live in, the only way that you can get propane is if you are a private company and you have your own private tanks and your own private dispensers. There are zero, count them, zero publicly available propane fueling stations in my city. And based on the research that I did, I'm guessing there's probably zero in other cities as well. Now, I know some companies that use propane vehicles. In fact, I work for a company, and all of our company vehicles run on propane. And when they need to be refueled, they have their own private propane supply. They have their own private pumps. But for a regular person who just wants to fuel their everyday car, you can't fuel it. If you own a propane vehicle, you can't fuel it. And that is why alternative fuel vehicles are useless. Now, if you want to say something down in the comments section, if you have other ideas, I'd be glad to hear them. And if you want to say that they're useful, I'll be glad to tell you how stupid you are. So that will do it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.